At a quiet harbor, Tyler and his date Margot wait to be ferried out to Hawthorne, an insanely exclusive restaurant run by the country's most celebrated chef. Tyler is obsessed. He's the kind of guy who treats fine dining like a religion, and tonight is his pilgrimage. But when the boat pulls up, they realize this isn't just a cozy dinner for two. They're sharing the ride with a boatload of VIPs. Lillian, the ruthless food critic who discovered the chef and made his career, trailing her editor Ted. George, a washed-up actor, arm in arm with his much younger assistant/girlfriend Felicity. Three tech bro investors, Dave, Soren, and Bryce, loud and self-important. And then there's Richard, a wealthy businessman, and his wife, Anne. Margot goes quiet the moment she spots him. She knows Richard, and she does not want him to know she's here. As they cross the water, the first course arrives, a fancy little bite. Tyler is losing his mind over it, snapping photos, gushing about technique. Margot? Unimpressed. She's not here for the food. She's here to survive the night without being seen. They dock, and the island's icy, precise host, Elsa, greets each guest by name, except Margot's. She calls her by someone else's name entirely. Tyler has to awkwardly explain that his date changed at the last minute. Elsa's face doesn't move. She just notes it. Before dinner, there's a tour. Elsa explains that literally everyone who works at Hawthorne lives on the island. They hunt, they farm, they cook, they never leave. The chef, the legendary Julian Slowick, lives here too, in a house that is strictly off-limits. No exceptions. Inside, the restaurant has an open kitchen, so guests can watch the cooks work in eerie, choreographed silence. At one table sits an elderly woman named Linda, who clearly doesn't belong with this crowd of money and ego. Richard clocks Margot and asks his wife to swap seats so he can get a better look at her. Then Chef Slowick appears. Elsa leans in and murmurs something to him, and his eyes lock onto Margot. The first real course lands, and the entire kitchen staff snaps to attention like soldiers on command. Slowick delivers a speech. This isn't a meal, it's an experience, and you will savor it, not just eat it. Tyler tries to jump in with a comment and gets publicly shut down. He keeps taking photos anyway, despite being told not to. Course 2 arrives. No bread. Slowick announces with a razor edge that his guests are too special for something as common as bread. Instead, an empty plate with a few dots of sauce. Lillian, ever the critic, points out that the emulsion looks slightly broken, so the kitchen sends her an entire bowl of it, dead-eyed and mocking. The tech bros try to throw their weight around, demanding bread, even name-dropping Doug Varick, the island's actual owner. It doesn't work. Elsa just tells them cryptically that they'll get less than they deserve and more than they deserve. Margot refuses to eat. When Tyler tries to steal her plate, he knocks over a glass, and Slowick materializes at their table instantly. He's not mad about the glass. He wants to know why Margot won't eat. She won't budge. Slowick walks away, visibly stung, and then, strangely, goes to check on Linda with real tenderness. Margot glances at Richard. Anne notices and quietly mentions that Margot looks eerily like their daughter who died. Richard pretends not to recognize her and changes the subject fast. Slowick claps again and introduces the next dish, called Memory. He tells a story from his childhood. His mother Linda, yes, that Linda, spiraled into alcoholism, and his father was abusive. One night, his father attacked her with a phone cord, and young Slowick grabbed a pair of scissors and stabbed him to stop it. He says now he regrets not finishing the job. The dish that follows, a smoked chicken thigh, plated with an actual pair of scissors and a coiled phone cord. Freshly made tortillas are laser-etched with images, and this is where it gets personal for everyone at the table. Lillian sees photos of restaurants that closed because of her scathing reviews. Anne finds pictures proving Richard's affair. George stumbles onto stills from his career-ending flop, Dr. Sunshine. The tech investors find evidence of their company's fraudulent tax filings. Nobody knows how the kitchen got any of this. Elsa won't say. The men start threatening to shut the whole place down. Elsa, unbothered, says that won't be necessary. Tyler, meanwhile, is spiraling, with the growing feeling that the chef hates him specifically. Margot tries to send the dish back, and Tyler snaps at her, calling her a child. Hurt, she storms off toward the bathroom, and Elsa nearly tackles her to keep her away from a mysterious silver door. Alone in the bathroom, Margot sneaks a cigarette by the window and watches a staff member sprint by carrying a literal pair of angel wings. Slowick finds her there, hurt that she won't eat, pressing her about who she really is. She insists she's just Margot from Nebraska. He doesn't buy it for a second. The staff begins arranging fabric and decorations directly on the floor. Slowick introduces sous chef Jeremy, presenting the next dish, the mess. Jeremy trained at an elite culinary school and has dreamed his whole life of working under Slowick, but Slowick tells him flatly that he isn't special. He asks Jeremy if he actually wants this brutal, thankless life. Jeremy says no. Slowick kisses him on both cheeks, and Jeremy pulls out a gun and shoots himself. The kitchen staff doesn't even flinch. Every guest except Tyler is horrified. As the body is dragged away, Slowick insists everyone sit back down. This is part of the show. Richard has had enough and tries to leave with Anne, but Elsa stops him. There's no boat. When he pushes back anyway, she has the staff pin him down and cut off his ring finger. Guests are in a full panic now, except Tyler, still weirdly along for the ride. Elsa hands the ring back to Anne like it's room service. Felicity begs George to use his friendship with the chef to help them. George admits he was lying. He never actually knew Slowick. Alone with Margot in the kitchen, Slowick insists she was never part of the plan and demands to know whose side she's on. Not that it matters. Everyone here is going to die tonight, he says. She returns to her table in tears and slaps Tyler when he won't stop talking about the food. Soren, cracking under the pressure, tries to smash a window with a chair. It's unbreakable, and Elsa calmly walks him back to his seat. A palate-cleansing tea comes next, and Slowick opens the floor to questions. Tyler asks something pointless. George finally asks the real one, what is happening here? Slowick explains they're all ingredients in his final concept. Lillian, for instance, is the critic who destroys restaurants for sport. Ted is the enabler who lets her. More broken emulsion is delivered to Lillian's table, almost gleefully cruel. Elsa hands Margot a kitchen timer, 10 minutes. Anne begs for a doctor for Richard. Slowick reminds them all they've been loyal customers for 5 years, then challenges them to name a single dish they've eaten at Hawthorne. Silence. He admits he once dreamed of being an artist, but he's spent his career serving people who can never be satisfied, just like his mother. When Bryce points out that Slowick doesn't actually own this place, Slowick corrects him. He owns Doug. And Doug, it turns out, is dangling outside in those angel wings. Dave offers money to save him. Slowick refuses. Dave tries to run. He's caught instantly. Slowick reveals Doug backed him through hard times, but later dared to question his menu. Unforgivable. Elsa gives the signal, and Doug is lowered into the ocean until he drowns. Slowick says he finally feels free. Her timer goes off. In his office, Slowick finally gets it out of her. She's not really Tyler's girlfriend. She's an escort. Richard was a client who liked to pretend she was his dead daughter. It's why she couldn't stop staring at him. Slowick and Margot find common ground. They both used to love serving people before entitled, joyless customers ruined it for them. The next course comes from sous chef Catherine, who reveals that Slowick once made unwanted advances toward her. He never fired her, but he stopped looking her in the eye. That guilt inspired the next dish, man's folly. Catherine stabs him in the leg, hugs him, smears his chef's coat in blood. He apologizes. Then Slowick gives the men a twisted mercy, a 45-second head start before the staff hunts them down. They scatter, except Tyler, who Slowick has to practically push out the door. Inside, Catherine leads the women through the 6th course. Lillian's compliments move Catherine to tears, so the other women pile on flattery just to keep her calm. Anne quietly asks Margot how she knows her husband. Margot admits she does, but doesn't say how. Margot finally drops her fake name. She's actually Erin from Massachusetts. Outside, the men don't stand a chance. Staff picks them off in the woods, on the beach, wherever they run. Ted hides in the smokehouse and gets rewarded with a delicacy for the effort. All the men are dragged back inside. George sarcastically apologizes to Felicity for failing to protect her, and she fires back that she's been stealing from him for years. Turns out, he already knew, and she knew he knew. Slowick pauses the whole menu to deal with one more thing, Tyler. Under pressure, Tyler admits he knew all along tonight would end in death. His real girlfriend dumped him, and Hawthorne doesn't take reservations for solo diners, so he hired Margot just to get a table. He never told her what she was walking into. Margot, blindsided, lunges at him before staff pulls her off. Slowick, almost impressed by Tyler's food obsession, hands him a chef's coat and forces him into the kitchen to cook in front of everyone, mocking him the whole time as Mr. Knowledgeable Foodie. Tyler falls apart completely, and the dish is a disaster. Slowick tells him he's the reason people like Tyler have stripped all the mystery out of real cooking, then whispers something to him. Tyler tears off the coat and runs, sobbing. Slowick pulls Margot aside with a favor. They need a barrel from the smokehouse for dessert, and Elsa forgot to bring it. He insists Margot go herself. On her way, she finds Tyler. He's taken his own life. She barely reacts. Back inside, George protests that this whole thing isn't fair. Slowick tells him exactly why he's marked for death. He once wrote a review that tanked Dr. Sunshine and ruined one of Slowick's rare days off. Felicity's crime, apparently, is graduating from Brown without any student debt. At the smokehouse, Margot skips the barrel and grabs a knife instead. She sneaks into Slowik's private house, a mirror of the restaurant, but with a bed, and tries to slip out through that forbidden silver door. Elsa catches her, knife in hand, terrified of being replaced. The two fight. Elsa admits she never actually forgot the barrel. Slowik simply never asked for it. In the struggle, Margot accidentally kills her. Grabbing Elsa's keys, Margot finally opens the silver door and finds a small, ordinary room. Photos of Slowik's old life, a family, a job flipping burgers before any of this. A simpler, happier version of him. There's a radio. She uses it to call for help. Back in the dining room, Bryce is stunned with a surprise birthday cake. His friends had tipped off the staff. The moment shatters when Margot walks back in, hauling the barrel. Slowik admits he was once a genuinely bad person, but insists everything he's doing tonight comes from a place of good. He shows off his scarred hands. Proof, he says, that he can no longer be hurt by anything, even fire. Then, a boat. Slowik realizes immediately Margot used the radio. The staff scrubs every trace of blood in seconds, and Slowik warns the room that if anyone asks for help, an innocent person dies for it. A Coast Guard officer named Dale steps in, asking if there's a problem. Nobody says a word, until he recognizes George and asks for an autograph, being a huge Dr. Sunshine fan. George plays along. As Dale turns to leave, he notices the autograph actually reads, "Help us." He whips out what looks like a gun. The room finally finds its courage and starts shouting for help, and then Dale calmly turns and points it at a candle. It's a novelty lighter. Dale was never Coast Guard, he's staff. He heads back to the kitchen like nothing happened. Slowik turns on Margot, devastated by what he sees as a betrayal, telling her she's no different from every other guest he's about to kill. But Margot has one card left to play. She thinks back to that little room, that lost, ordinary version of him, and she claps to command his attention the way he commands everyone else's. She tells him flatly that she's sending the food back. Every course has been a lecture, not a meal. Technically impressive, joyless. Slowik, completely disarmed, actually listens. She says she's still hungry and asks for one thing, a regular cheeseburger. For the first time all night, Slowik smiles. He agrees, $9.95, fries included, and the entire kitchen staff watches in fascination as the most celebrated chef in the country cooks a basic cheeseburger with genuine pride, like it's the first honest thing he's made in years. Margot eats it, actually enjoys it, but can't finish. She asks for the rest to go. Slowik, still somewhere far away in his own head, boxes it up for her. She leaves a $10 bill on the table and walks out. At the door, she hesitates, thinking about everyone still trapped inside, but Anne catches her eye and silently tells her to go. Margot runs for the harbor and takes off on the boat Dale left behind. Back at Hawthorne, Slowik announces it's time to settle up. $1,250 a head, no tipping allowed, and every guest gets a parting gift bag, including, grimly, one of Doug's fingers. Cards come out, and then dessert. The staff turns the entire floor into a giant plate, decking the remaining guests out in chocolate party hats and marshmallow vests. Slowik tells them they represent the ruin of his life, and now they'll become part of it. The final course, s'mores, prepared the way nature intended, over open fire. He picks up a burning coal with his bare hands, calls it a cleansing, and drops it onto the floor. The whole restaurant goes up in flames, with everyone still inside. Out on the water, Margot cuts the engine, sits back, and finally finishes her cheeseburger while the island burns behind her. She wipes her mouth with the takeout menu from her gift bag. Cut to black.